Um, there are two types of sorting that gives you n log n in the worst case. N log n in the worst case are two algorithms that I'm aware of that gives you this time, which are merge sort and heap sort. So both merge sort and heap sort both gives order of n log n in the worst case. That is never more than this, in contrast of quicksort that has better constant and its expected running time is better. It's still order of n log n on average, and we will talk in this course about what this average really means, but its worst case is theta of n squared. That is, there is some chance, pretty small chance, but there is some chance that the running time is actually more than n squared. Okay. So that's some mistakes that I've seen in some homework 0. And we want to continue with skip. Heap sort never takes more than n log n. Its constants are not great. Merge sort, depending on the implementation, merge sort had some very nice ideas and very transformative ideas that we can use in many other algorithms. But by itself, both of them are inferior to quicksort. Like in practice, quicksort is the way to go. But for both of them, you never exceed the n log n. Okay, we talked about what is a perfect skip list, at which every second element from the lowermost level, every second element is promoted to create level 2. Then I'm going on level 2, promote every second element to create level 3, and so on and so forth until I'm running out of elements, out of keys. And we talked about the running time, never more than log n. We started to discuss the insert algorithm into skip list, and the insert was going as follows. I first pick a number k, and this number k is some values that we need a pretty sophisticated and involved algorithm to decide what the hell is k. And after we decide what is k, we want to insert the newcomer x. So we perform find of x, but we are paying special attention when we are during the find when we are in one of the lowest k level. Like in this example, k equal 2, implying that I want to insert x into 2 levels exactly, which means that I perform 119, the values that I'm going to insert, and I notice where I start. I start at level 3. Oops, now I'm going down to level 2, and here is an element at which I'm going down from 71. And since I'm in one of the 2 levels that 119 going to be inserted to, I can insert it already into the right place. One of the copies of 119 already on the way down. And as I continue, every time that I go down, as opposed to continue right, every time that I go down, it is because the next element is larger than 119, implying that that's exactly where 119 needs to go into. Question that sometimes I hear, should I perform the insert on the way down or on the way up? And it's a bit a matter of personal taste. Like we can perform find of 119, and if we perform it in a way that forgets about the history, like the loop that I showed you before, the pseudocode that appears on the slide, if I'm performing in the find of 119 and forget about the history, then now I'm in troubles wanting to insert 119 because I'll never be able to reconstruct the 71 over here. If on the other hand you are performing the find of 119 recursively, then you have all the elements in your history on the stack, and now you can pull it up and insert the 119 on the way up. And in a sense, it's better policy because for several algorithms, bottom up is more rigorous than top down algorithm. So you can insert first this element and then this element. Or you can do it on the way down if you're using a loop like presented in this code. And but then you need to know at each moment at which level you are, which is exactly why you need this extra counter, or that tells you how many levels there are in the skip list, so that as you're going down, you know at each moment at which level you are. Is this me or somebody's mic is open? It's not me. Okay. Makes sense? So story bottom up is in general more robust. That is some approach that will say everything below me has already been fixed, have been modified properly, and then I just need to worry about things that are going upward. It's especially important if we want to add some additional augmented information on the skip list, as we'll see later. That if I want to have some extra bits of information, it's easier to maintain them as I'm going down. But you can do it either way, either up or either down. Questions so far? And of course, what I did now, that was when K, the number of levels that a newcomer is going to participate in, that was when K is smaller than the current number of levels. So K might be 1, I participate only in the lowermost level, 2, as in this example, 3, in which case I would add another copy of 119 right here, or it could be that it will be 4, like in this case, and in this example, that's exactly the moment that the skip list grows, and it grows upward. I'm adding more levels because K happens to be 4 and I only had 3, so I am opening a new level for one of the copies of 119. Possibly more than 1, possibly a lot, whatever K tells me. And each new level contains a minus infinity and infinity, as usual. It's a beginning and the end, and of course a newcomer, 119. So the whole heart of the skip list is how do I pick K? And just worth mentioning, every element, if it participates in level 3, then it also participates in level 2, and it also participates in level 1. You cannot participate in one of the levels unless you also participate in all the levels below it. Okay, and this highly sophisticated algorithm to pick K goes as follows. I start when K equal 1, implying that everybody is going into level 1. I pick a random number. I'll write my code of rand that returns 1 or 0. Usually rand, depending on the language, you can pick an interval or you can get a float number between 0 and 1 as a return. And then if it's smaller than half, you'll say that it's 0. If it's larger than half, you'll call it 1. Either way, you want some probability, maybe half and half, to get 0 or 1. You start when K is 1, and now you're giving a chance to K to increase. Let's say 50-50, then you're calling our R&D, and if you're getting true as an answer, then you'll increase K to be 2. meaning the newcomer will participate in 2 levels, and you're also giving K a chance to grow to level 3. And if it made it to level 3, you'll give it a chance to go to level 4, and so on. Okay. So, and in this code, there is no limitation to how large K can be. Possibly you are adding a new element that participates in thousands and thousands of levels, and that's absolutely fine with us. I'm not doing in this code anything against it. I'm putting all my faith in the behavior of the randomness oracle, that putting my luck on the random number that will work properly. Okay, we mentioned deletion. Let's mention it again. I want to delete an element. Well, I first need to find it, want to find 37. And now from every level that 37 participate in, I'm deleting it, just applying the very same algorithm that I used in the link list, in the one-dimensional link sorted linked list that we had in the beginning of the slides. So I want to pick 71. I perform find of 71. Remember, the code of find that I showed you actually doesn't find X itself, but find always the predecessor of X, while the element which is the largest, but still smaller than X. So in every level, I find the element that just preceding 71, and I tell the next pointer of this element of 37 to point to the next element, hence removing 71 from this level, and similarly in each level that it participates. One point to pay attention to, it might be that because of a deletion algorithm, the highermost level becomes empty, so I just remove this level completely. If all I have in the highermost level is just minus infinity and infinity, then I don't need it, so I'll remove it from the list. And maybe you need to do it more than once. That's absolutely fine. What does the other picture look so funny? Yeah, thank you, OBS, by the way. It works so nice. I have to, yeah, I'll make sure not to exceed from the whiteboard if I'll need it. Okay, any questions about anything so far? We are done with the algorithms describing the operations about the skip list. You know everything about the code. From now, we'll start to understand why the skip list behaves so well in practice. I mean, the code itself is very clean in the sense that I have very little, I don't have any special cases to check. In contrast, for example, to AVL or red-black tree, that you have right rotation and left rotation and left-right and right-right. And all these things doesn't happen. You don't need to worry about adding elements at the beginning or the end. So in practice, the running time is extremely fast. The constants are better depending on the implementation, but in general, the constants are better than you'll see in a red-black or 2-3 trees. But let's start to understand why does it work? Because the skip list also have a chance to behave terrible. It's nothing in the code didn't tell us that this skip list that contains minus infinity followed by 3, followed by 5, followed by 9, followed by all the way to 1000 or whatever, and consists only of a single level. The skip list that consists only of a single level might appear. There is nothing in the code that guarantees it. I will not have a case that all the elements participates only in the lowermost level, And if all the elements participate only in the lowermost levels, then of course my search time is quite bad. I have to check each and every element, so my search time is linear. But things can be even worse if I'll say that maybe all the elements, each and every one of them, participates in the lowermost level, but each one of them also participates in level 2, which is also a bad case, because now I have to spend, not only that I need to spend linear time to cross all of them, but now I actually need to spend more memory to keep a second copy of each one of them, and so on and so forth. I can make it worse and worse if each one of them participates in many levels, and it all could happen. So one of the goals on getting deeper here is to show you that the math is not too bad, and we can actually understand and implement algorithms that hopefully you can implement elsewhere in your future life, of why randomized algorithms behave so much better and still enjoy such nice guarantees about the running time, both expected wise and worst case running time. So let's hand wave a bit. The expected number of elements in the skip list is order n. Elements are the disks that you show early, the disks that I have in the whiteboard. There are n keys. How many elements do we expect to find? It all depends on, of course, what happened with our coin. What could be the value of k? So what is a probability? Let's get to know this number. What is the probability when we toss a coin and I pick k? What is the probability that k is large or equal than 1? What is the chances that the value that I'll get in k, let's go back a few slides, what is the chances that the value of k that I'll get is larger or equal than 1? 100%. It will, whatever I'm getting, I start when k is 1, so the chances that it will be either 1 or some larger number is 100%. It cannot be anything else. The question is now, what is the chance that k is larger or equal than 2? What should happen that k will be at least 2? It needs to be that the first time that I called my function our R&D, I got a head. If I think about it as a coin, I got a 2, right? Which happens, say, if my coin is fair, is balanced, then the chance that this happens, as somebody said before, this will happen in exactly 50% of the time. But the chances that k is larger or equal than 3. Remember, I'm not asking about the chance that it's exactly 3. I'm asking what is the chance that an element will participate in level 3. What should it is? I toss a coin once. I toss a coin or the coin once, and I got, say, a head or a tail. I had a head once, that happened, head or tail, with probability of 50% and 50%. And only if I got head once, I need to toss a coin once again, which again will happen. It's probability of 50%. Only then I'll get to level 3, right? So the chances that I have two successive true value, two successive ones, is of course 50% of 50%, making it 0.25. That is 25%. What is the probability that k is larger or equal than 4? Well, easy to guess right now. We know where it's going. I need to succeed for it in 3 consecutive coin tossing to get a head, 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 which will happens in 1/2 to the third of the cases. Right? It will happen with probability of 1/8 of the case. Right? Because it's half times half times half. I need to succeed in all 3 cases. And in general, the probability that k is large or equals than I equals, help?
1/2 power?
Almost, because we start with k equal 1, I minus 1. Exactly. Okay. So how, if we have n keys and n is a large number, how many elements are we expecting to see in level 1? Well, in level 1, everybody appears with probability 1. So the number of elements that there are in level 1 is exactly n. That's not probability, really. How many elements are we expect to see in level 2? In my scheme, level 2, 1 level above level 1. How many? The probability that you're making to level 1 is 50%, is 1/2. So if n is large, we expect, and I'm using the term expectation here quite loosely, not very formally. I expect to find n/2 of the keys that will make it to level 2. Right. Now, when I'm asking about level 3 and ask how many elements do I find here, I can address it in a complicated and unpleasant way, or I can look at it in a pleasant way. The unpleasant way would think about what is a conditional probability of making it to level 3 that now depends on did you make it to level 2 or 2, etc., and ask and try to ask questions that has to do with the sizes of elements that made it to level 2 at all, or there are ways to solve it in a complicated way. A much simpler way to ask how many elements are there in level 3 is to say, what's your chance to make it to level 3? Well, it's 25%. True for any elements. That's why the expected number of elements that participate in level 3 is therefore n/4. Expected, but n is large. Each element has chance of 25% to be picked. Remind me a famous, Google questionnaire problem. You have 1 coin. There are 3 of you. You want to pick one of the 3 of you to be the leader using this 1 coin, and you want that each one of you will have a probability of exactly 33% to be picked as a leader. That is, each one should have the same probability, and there are 3 of you. Give me an algorithm that will decide which one of the 3 of you is the leader, and it should be completely fair. Each one should have exactly the same chance. Famous Google question. If you don't know it, make sure that you do before you are out in the market. And so forth and so forth. So the probability of an element to participate in level J is, as we said, half to the power J minus 1. So the number of elements in level J is n divided by these numbers. And first thing that we see out of it is that after log n many levels, we are just running out of elements. We expect not to find a lot of keys in this level. And I'm going to be much more formal about the height soon, but at the moment that's fine. We'll just think about it as we expect to find log n many elements. Those of you that are familiar with random variable, the proof from here is very easy, at least for everything that I said so far. Without random variable, let's stay in this level of formality. I cannot assume that you're familiar with random variables. Given everything that I said so far, how much memory do we need to spend in the skip list on average? Well, on average, we will spend n for the lowermost level plus n half for level 2, n over 4 level 3, n over 8 level 4, and so on. And this number is smaller than the mantra of the course, n times what? 1 plus half plus quarter plus 1 over 8 plus, let's make it go to infinity. That's exactly 2, so it makes it 2n. So the expected memory of the skip list is only 2 times the optimum. And of course, we are enjoying running times that is much better. And the difference between this and the perfect skip list is that here when I picked the numbers, when I pick k, I don't do anything smart. I don't look at the new element's neighbors. I don't look at the balance of the skip list. It's all completely expected numbers. And still you're getting to the same memory that you're getting in the perfect algorithm, and the perfect skip list is not dynamic. You cannot add or delete elements and still get all the good properties. Okay, here is another theorem. The expected time for find or insert or delete is order of log n. In the case of AVL or red-black trees, or 2-3 trees, B trees, the log n was generally easier to prove, and it always holds, not only on some average case, and it came because the height of the tree was log n, and that's why any search path in the tree will have a length of log n right here. To prove something like this in SkipList, we need to work a bit harder. And it's only a proof on an average sense. And the proof goes as follows. What do I do when I insert an element? When I insert an element in the skip list, I need to scan through a few elements until I'll find that X, the new guy, is, say, coming here, and add to it. And now I go down and I need to scan another few elements until I'll see that X will appear right over here. Right? So I need to scan a few elements here. I need to scan a few elements in level 2, possibly the same for other levels as well. Right? So there are quite some work to do of why is this a log n in this case. So what happened in this level where I'm inserting X? I'm scanning through a few elements, and only then I'm spending a constant time to add X. So the bulk of the work is for the find operation, not for what happened after X is inserted. For each element, each level where I insert X, I'm spending constant time, plus the time to find X, the time to scan this level, and it all depends on both parameters. How many levels do you have, and how much time do you plan to spend in each level? It's not clear, as opposed to binary trees, it's not clear at all that in each level you'll spend a constant time. Possibly the skip list, it's not your lucky day, and in the same level you need to scan many elements until you reach the place where you need to insert it. So in all these cases, the time for insert and the time for delete is dominated by the time that the find operation takes. Right? The find operation is where the bulk of the time is wasted, so let's prove that find takes only log n time, and from this the proof for the insert and delete will follow. So how do we prove it? How many levels do we have? That was where I think that I convinced you that I only have log n levels because the expected number of elements per each level was halved, n half, n over 2, n over 4, n over 8, n over 16. So after log n, log to the base 2 of n many levels, you're running out of elements. So that was easy. You have only log n many levels. But who told you that you're going to spend only constant time per each level? That's much less obvious. Who told you that you're not going to spend many elements out there? I sent you a little challenge question that with not exact clear grading in mind of, let's think about what to do if you are limited only to 2 levels. And in 2 levels, nothing of what I'm going to say here is valid. You need a very different approach to handle the case of a SkipList of 2 levels. Here we are handling normal levels. So I just had a message that my internet connection is unstable, so somebody needs to make noises if you stop hearing me. Okay, so how much time do I spend in one particular level? Let's look at level R. One of the levels, maybe R is 1, maybe R is 2. Let's think about one of the levels, and let's assume that I'm spending a lot of time on this level. Why? Because I had to scan a lot of elements. I had to scan the elements B1, B2, B3, all the way up to B8, maybe even more. And what I'm going to show you is not that it's impossible. What I'm going to show you is that it's rare, and it's going to be rare exponentially more and more rare the larger the elements that I'm going to scan are considered. That is, let's assume that during my search I visited B, one of the elements, and I was wondering, should I move from B to the next element in the same level? I'm searching for X, and I'm wondering, should I move from B to the next element in the very same level? And the answer was, because remember, in the find algorithm, you try to stay in this very same level as high as possible for as long as possible. You want to stay, because then the jumps are the largest. So I did visit B, searching for X. I was wondering, should I move to the next of B, C in this case, and I decided not to because C itself was too large. And we said that we never reach an element that is larger than X. So what the algorithm says in this case, you have to go down from B to the next level, and then go to the right in the very same level as much as you could until you cannot go anymore because you found B or you need to go down a level, doesn't matter. So in this case, C itself, by our assumption, larger than X. B1 smaller than X. I moved to the right. B2 smaller than X as well. Same is B3, same is B4, B5, B6, B7, B8. All of them are smaller or equal than X. Otherwise I would have gone down or moved to or stopped the search. So I'm sure that all these many elements that I looked for are all smaller or equal than X. Now, is this case likely? What do I mean by this case? Look at all these elements, BIs. I want to convince you that none of them made it to level R plus 1. They are all in level R, level 1 if you prefer. None of them made it to level R plus 1. Why? Well, first you see it in my beautiful drawing, but why am I sure that B5 did not make it to level R plus 1? Help?
Because it's smaller than x, and we know that the next element in level r plus 1 is larger than x.
Exactly. If B5, which is smaller than x, would have made it to level R plus 1, then my search would have gone through B5. B5 is smaller than x. So what's the deal about, what's the fate of B5? Maybe it started from the bottom, got promoted, made it all the way to level R, but I'm sure that despite having 50% chance to make it to level R plus 1, it failed. Then it reaches its Parkinson level of its maximum, its luck ran out. That's the highest level that it reached, and it has 50% chance to make it to the next level. B2, very same deal. B3, very same deal with B8. Had a chance to move to level R plus 1, did not make it. So now I'm asking, what is the probability that I'll see a run of 7 elements that all decided to make it only to level R but not to level R plus 1? The chance that B2 did not make it to the next level is 50. Chance that B3 didn't make it is also 50, and so on. So if I have if I have 7 such elements, the chance that it will happen is 1 over 2 to the 7. But it's 7 experiments, 7 coin tosses that you all made, and they all failed. They did not make it to the next level. Correct? So the chance of seeing it is therefore quite small, 1 over 2 to the 7. Okay? The chance of seeing a run of 10 elements will be therefore 1 over 2 to the 10th, and so on. So that's the argument of why the probability of spending a lot of time in the same level, why this probability goes down exponentially the larger the run that I have in mind. Okay, so that's a hand wave behind this behavior of long runs in the same level. And unfortunately, I need Chernoff bounds to give you an exact proof of this claim. So we'll just leave it as very slim chance that you'll spend more than a constant time per level. And since you know that there are only log n levels, and in most of them, almost always, you're spending a constant time, then altogether the search time is log n, and that's also why the insert and delete are log n as well. Okay, let's move on, and at least for one of these claims I want to give you a full proof and stop hand waving so violently. Any questions so far? And if I didn't, and just to repeat the speech about the skip list once again, the code of the skip list is so much simpler than any of the other competing data structures. And you can add information, augment information that will make it even more general. We'll talk about other applications of augmenting data. And the exact the time to debug, maintain the code are so much smaller because there are so few ifs and so few cases to handle. And in practice, the running time are almost always way better than any of the competing data structures. Okay, so there are plenty of good reasons why to keep this data structure. And next I want to say I'm hand waving quite a lot about what is simple and what is likely and what is unlikely. Let's try to be a bit more formal, at least in one of the cases. That is, the proof is, I think, very digestible. How high is a skip list? Well, remember, each element picks the level that it wants to participate, sets what its expectees are, and I'm just looking for the tallest element, and that's the height of the skip list. Now, I can limit the number of levels in the code where I pick k. I can say that k will never be more than log n, and that's a little change in the code that you can do, but I'm trying to convince you now that it's probably not needed. And let's see now why. Because the math here are really very simple. So if you look at the code of how do I pick k, k might be infinity with some small probability, but k might be enormous. Let's ask if it's likely. So first, to set the expectation correct, I'm asking what is the expectation that the skip list is too tall, that there are too many levels, and I first want to convince you that it's a personal matter. Each one of you will decide what is too tall for her or him. It's a personal definition, but let's set the expectation right. If n becomes larger, then the height should grow. If I'm limited to only 2 levels, as I gave you in the challenge question, if I'm limited only to 2 levels, you cannot reach any element in log n time. Forget it. If you want to reach elements in log n time, you need at least log n levels. So to say log to the base 2 of n, that's also what you are getting in the case of the perfect skip list. Log to the base 2 of n, you have to, is realistic to expect. That would be a very, very nice skip list. For example, perfect skip list, which is also perfect actually. But let's say that 2 times log n, maybe I'll decide that it's too high for me. And somebody would say, no, you're not, you're too conservative. I'm willing to go for 3 times log n. Somebody will say, no, too tall for me is 4 times log n. Right? Because it doesn't matter too badly, and you're just spending constant time per each level. So 4 times log n is not too bad. 5 times log n, 6 times log n, they are all very realistic. It's still much better than AVL or 2-3 trees. But the user should tell me some number, z, and I'll tell you what the probability is that you'll find a skip list that is more than z times log n. And all I'm asking the user is, what is this z that you personally think that is too high? Is z equal 1, z equal 2, z equal 3? And for each one, I'll just, instead of waiting for the user to say it, what I'm going to show you is, let's understand what is the probability that the height of the skip list is 2 times log n, or 3 times log n, or 4 times log n, and let's see how likely it is. So let's go to the following experiment. I'm drawing a set, I'm drawing a square, more or less, whose size is 1 meter by 1 meter. I wanted to call it 1 foot by 1 foot, but I never remember what is foot and what is feet, and if it's 1 tag or 2 tags, so I think that meters is simpler. So the area of the square is 1 meter, and the area is 1 meter square, and I'll draw some shape here, and I'll call this shape A, and I'll take the cup of this marker, and I'll throw it, and I'll never miss 1 meter square, but I might be inside or outside A. And let's say that every point that I'll hit has exactly the same probability. Every point in this 1 meter by 1 meter square has the same probability. Then the probability that I hit A, that is that my arrow, my target is inside A, is just the area of A divided by the area of the whole thing, which is just 1. So I just ask what is the area of the set A. Just probability 101 or 001 minus 1. Let's draw another shape in green. That would be B. And I'm asking now what is the probability that I hit B, right? Which is once again the area of B divided by 1. Now, when I have both A and B, I can also ask the following question. What is the probability that I hit either A or B? That is, to hit either A or B needs to be, my point should be maybe only on B, possibly only on A, or could be in the intersection between them. Right? And I'm asking you, what is the probability that you hit either A or B? And the answer is, of course, that we will compute what is the area, how much of the square is covered by the union of A of B. It is this shape of all the points that are either only on A or only on B, or in the intersection. Right? I'm asking what is this area is just the area in square meters of A union B. The shapes that both A and B uncovered, divided by 1. Once again, it's 1 over 1 times the area of the union. And there is a formula that tells you what is exactly this area. You can express it as, or express this probability as a probability, the area of A, plus the probability of the area of B, minus, I double counted, as you know, I have double counted this orange area right here. So this sum is somehow too large, so the exact formula is probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A intersection B. That is that when I throw my cup, I hit the area in the intersection. Why do I need to remove it? Because the area of the union is the area of A plus the area of B minus the area that I double counted, which is the intersection between A and B, which is exactly the probability that I hit right here in the middle. Okay. So if you don't like my violent examples of target practicing with a whiteboard, here is another example. I have a roulette. I think there is a difference between American and European roulette. I think that European roulette has 38 many slots, not sure. And let's say the roulette is all fair and happy. So then you're picking a number K, the ball falls on a number K between 1 to 38, and each number has the same chance. So now I define an event, something that happened or did not happen. I'll say this number that you're getting is even, and what is the probability that this event A happened? That is, that the number that you're generating K is even. Well, there are 19 even numbers between 1 and 38. 38 is even as well, so the probability is exactly 50%. Let's define a different event. K, the number that the roulette spits out, k is divided by 3. Maybe it happens, maybe it's not happened. How do I know what's the probability? Let's count out how many numbers between 1 and 38 are there, which are divided by 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, etc. You'll get to 12 such numbers. So that's like the area of B. The overall area of A is 38. So the chance that you are getting number that k is divided by 3 is 0.315 roughly. But now to go back to the SkipList and use all of it, I want to convince you that I can make some approximation, and in some cases this approximation will be meaningless. So at some cases this approximation will be just enough, and it makes my life so much easier. So let's look at the probability of A union B, which we said it's what's the chance that I'm getting either a number that is divided by 3 or a number that is even, or possibly both. And there is such, you can count and tell me exactly what's the result. It's not hard. But what I'm trying to tell you more is that let's look at this formula. Probability of A plus probability of B minus the probability of the intersection. This number is of course positive. So if I say I'll ignore this probability of A intersection of B in my calculation, I'm not going to correct for this term. I'll pretend that this is a correct number, that the probability that I hit the union is probability of A plus probability of B. Well, it's obviously not an exact answer, but since I ignore a number that this is positive and it appears with a minus, then what is larger? This probability of A plus probability of E, or the correct number, probability of A or B, which needs to be corrected? Well, obviously this one is larger. So if I delete it, then the probability of either A happens or B happens is smaller or equal than probability of A plus probability of B, with no correction over here. And this will be true in general. So if I have 3 events, then the probability that either A1 or A2 or A3 happens, this number is smaller than just sum up the probabilities of each individual event. In the case of the roulette, the chance that you hit either number divided by 2 or a number divided by 3 is smaller than sum up these two probabilities, half plus 35, and you're getting 0.8. Maybe you will get a number larger than 1, and maybe it's meaningful, maybe it's not, but at least it gives you some bound. Okay, did I say anything controversial over here? And everybody understands the message that if I'm ignoring this correction term of probability of intersections of both A happens and B happens, then I'm just overshooting. I'm getting a number that is maybe is too large, but it's definitely larger than the true answer. Now, why do I want to ignore this number? Well, because if I only have 2 events, A and B, then it's quite easy to have the correction. Probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of the intersection. If you have 3 events and you really want to compute it, then you need to compute now the probability that each one happens, minus the probability of pairs that happens, minus plus the probability that triples that happens, and so on and so forth. Things can be really, really ugly, and as we'll see, completely unnecessary for our little exercise with the SkipList. People, everybody is okay so far? As far as mathematical depth, this class is one of the hardest, or at least not hard, yeah, it's harder than the other classes, which I don't think that it's hard, but it takes more concentration than the other classes. Let's go back to our favorite skip list. We want to ask what is the probability that the skip list has height which is more than k. I'll pick some number k, my favorite number, 17. I'll pick some number k, and I want to ask what is the probability, or bound somehow the probability, that when you build the skip list, you got more than k level. I'll say 17 level is what I'm willing to live with. What's the chance that I'll see more than 17 level? Right now I keep k fixed. 17. How could it be that the height of the skip list is larger than k? Larger or equal than k. So remember the code. To create the 17th level, some of the elements must participate in it. If you remember in the code of deletion, if you see the topmost level when you delete it, if you see that the topmost level is empty beside the minus infinity and infinity, you're removing the topmost level. If the skip list has height of 17, it's because at least one of the elements, one of the keys, wants to participate in 17 or more many levels. If all of them wants to participate in fewer than 17, the height of the skip list is less than 17. Right? Kind of obvious, right? Somebody wants to be so high. So how could it be that the height of the skip list is large or equal than k? I'm sorry, typo, it needs to be strongly larger. Change it to be strongly larger, please. Strictly larger than k. How could it be? Well, it can be only if x1, let's say I generate a skip list for a set of keys. Let's give the keys names x1, x2, x3, x4, all the way up to xn. I don't care what exactly are the value of these keys. Here they are, all the way from x1 till xn. And the only way that my skip list has more than 17 levels, it's because x1 wants to participate in more than 17, or x2 wants to participate in more than 17, or x3 or x4, or somebody needs to participate in it. And notice, it's not exclusive or, it's not XOR. I mean, it might be like in this example that both x3 and x5 want to be in 3 levels. That's fine. I'm not saying that if this happens, this don't happen. But the only way that the probability that the skip list has height which is more than k, strictly more than k, is some of the elements, at least one, wants to be in this level. So if I'm asking what is the probability that I'll see this skip list, I'm going to generate the skip list on the same set of keys, but I'm going to repeat it billion many times on the same set of keys. And I'm asking, is this likely that I'll see a skip list with more than k? Very unlikely, mildly unlikely. What is the probability that I'll find a skip list with more than k levels? The probability that I'll find a skip list with more than k levels is exactly the probability that either this event happens. x1, when it was inserted, decided to participate in more than k, or, not exclusive, or x2, when it was inserted, participated in more than k. In this example, it participated only in 1. Or x3 decided to participate in more than k, yada, 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 all the way up to possibly xn was a bad guy that wants to participate in so many levels. So now you see a lot of events. I can think about this event, maybe this happens, or maybe this event happens, or maybe this event has happened, etc. And what is the probability that one of these events happens? Remember, we want to say that the probability that A or B is smaller or equal than the probability of A plus probability of B. Because to get an exactly equal, I have to subtract here the probability that both A and B both happens. So now I'm going to ask what is the probability that x1 has happened plus the probability that x2 that the first event has happened. X1 is the one that participates in so many levels. Let's compute what is this probability. Let's add to it the probability that x2 decided to participate in so many levels, plus all the way yada yada yada, probability that x1 is the one that participated in so many levels. And if I'll sum up all these terms, whatever I'm getting is definitely smaller or equal than the probability that at least one of them has decided to be the bad guy and participate in so many levels. So I'm just breaking it into, I am breaking a pretty hairy, unpleasant expression that I could, but really prefer not to calculate exactly what is this number. And instead, I'm saying that this number is smaller than a number that is very easy for me to calculate. Because I'm asking, this number is just the chance that x1 is a bad guy plus the probability that x2 is a bad guy, the probability that x3 is a bad guy, and so on. Just adding up these numbers. Instead of just A and B, I have A1 and A2 and A3 and A4, all the way up to AN. And the events that might or might not happen is that xn participate in more than k level. So I'm going to sum up all these numbers. What is the chance that x1 participate in more than k level? People already said correctly. The chance that it participates in more than I level is 1 over 2 to the I. That's the chance that x1 participating to more than I level, because the chance that it's just in level 1, we said it's 100%, 50%, 25%, 12% something. That's the chance that it's in level 4, and so on. It goes down exponentially. As that's the chance that x1 participate in k in more than k level is 1 over 2 to the k. Everybody in this class needs to understand why this is a chance that x1 participate in more than k level. What's the chance that x2 yada yada participate in more than k level? Same number, 1 over 2 to the k. What's the chance for xn participate in so many levels? 1 over 2 to the k. Remember, since it's strictly larger than it's 1 over 2 to the k and not 1 over k minus 1. It's exactly 1 over 2 to the k. Sum up all these numbers, what are you getting? N times 1 over 2 to the k. Okay, let's see if my animation works. Yeah, so the answer of this question, no matter what is k, that's a chance that the probability is more that you have more than k levels. And notice, to see that everybody is still breathing, the chance that I have more than 3 levels, if n is million, what's the chance that I have more than 3 levels? 3 levels, k equal 3, n is a million, and I get that the answer is smaller or equal than million divided by 8, which is still much larger than 1, which just didn't tell me anything. Okay, so the probability is less than 100%. Doesn't mean anything. But if I'll ask what is the probability that it's much larger than 1,000, then it starts to be meaningful. One more slide, and we see the light. Simple slide. I started from the following question. What is the probability that the height of the skip list is larger than z times log n? That is 3 times log n, 4 times log n, 5 times log n, and so on. So the probability that there is some xi that participate in more than k levels. That's what we just saw in the previous slide. It's smaller or equal than n divided by 2 to the k. That is true for every k. Now, if none of the xi's participate in so many levels, then the probability, then the whole skip list has height which is acceptable, less than 2 to the k. Reminder to everybody, 2 to the power of some number a times b is what? Is 2 to the power of a to the power of b, or also 2 to the power of b to the power of a. I want to relate this condition to this condition, that this result that I just established in the previous slide. So I'll just say the user said that if it's more than 10 times log n, as long as the height is less than 10 times log n, then you're fine. I'll accept the skip list. So I'll just set k to be 10 or z times log n. If k equals z times log n, what is 2 to the k? Let's substitute. 2 to the k is 2 to the power of what's written here, log to the base 2 of n times z, which is, look at this case, it is just 2 to the power of log to the base 2 of n to the power of z. What's written here in the parentheses? 2 to the power of log 2 of n, it's nothing but n. Log just asks you to which power should I, to which exponent should I raise 2 to get the number n. So what you have here in the parentheses is just n, all of it to the power of z. So what we are getting is n to the power of z. So, and here you see the light. The probability of seeing a skip list with more than z times log n many levels is smaller or equal than n divided by 2 to the k, which is, let's put it out, n divided by, what is k here? K is log n times z, so divided by n to the log n to the z, which is just n to the z, giving you n divided by n to the z is just 1 over n to the z minus 1. And that was the aha moment that I dragged you all for. Why? Because first, notice that the larger n is, you're even more certain that things happen the way you want them to be. But let's just take a very small skip list. Let's take a skip list with only n equal 1,000 keys, n equal 1,000, and the user said more than 7 times log n is too high for me. What's the chance that I'll generate a skip list and it has more than 7 times log n many levels? Put the numbers. The chance that you are seeing a skip list with more than 7 times log n many levels for even this small n is 1 divided by n, 1,000, to the power z minus 1. 7 minus 1 is 6, making it 1 over 10 to the 18. Okay, so what's the probability that the skip list that you'll generate has less or equal than 7 times log n? It's 100% minus the chance that it happens. So the probability that the height of the skip list is less than 7 times log n is larger or equal than 1 minus this number 1 divided by 10 to the 18. So I'll say it's kind of rare. And then you're saying, no, it's still too large for me. I want to really be sure. Then I'll tell you, okay, in this case, you need to increase z. What's the chance that you'll see a skip list with more than 10 times log n many levels? Then you're down to 1 over 1 divided by 10 to with 27 zeros after it. That is, we are using a randomized data structure. It has a chance to behave badly, but the chance that you'll be struck by lightning when it happens, or an earthquake or any other resource, is so much higher than the chance that your skip list will behave really badly that we can ignore it. So that was a case where I could have shown you in 10 minutes the whole math, and you could have convinced yourself that randomized data structure or randomized algorithms are in some cases fantastic because they are much simpler. I need to work on the code much less, and I'm getting results that is only probabilistic, but the chance that I'm far, and I can easily compute the average. I can easily compute what is the average number of levels, but I also can ask what is the chance that I'll hit on something that is very far from the average, and then the answer is that it's astronomically small probabilities that you'll hit something that is far away from the average, so be safe. It's a very good idea to use skip list when it does what it wants, even though you need to always live with a fear that maybe the coins are not going your way. Yeah, that was pretty deep for this course. Of most things that we'll discover will be less involved mathematically. This was a very simple example, by the way, of a Chernoff bound. Chernoff bound in general helps you understand not what the average is, but how likely it is that you'll get something that is far, far away from the average. And this was a very simple example of such bounds. And we are almost done with skip lists. The only thing that I can show you in skip list more in the remaining 3 minutes is that there is an alternative implementation to skip list that in which you'll say every element is an array where I'll store an element as an array where the key is here, and I'll have pointer 1, pointer 2, pointer 3, and so on. And all I need to do is to make sure that the number of cells in this array per each element is the same. So the skip list, instead of looking like this, for example, instead of storing x3, in this case, if you think about x3 over here, I will store it as an array that has the number x3 only once, only here at the bottom, and I'll have as pointer 1 of x3 that it points to x4, the array of x4, the array of x4. The next element points to the array that points to the next one, to x5, and above it, it will be to x5 as well. And possibly here in the same array, I have also pointer to null because there is a place for the 4th level, but I'm not using it. So I have to decide ahead of time on what is the maximum n that I'm using. So it's a bit more memory per that you're wasting for the whole array, because all these arrays are all of the same size, but inside every element you don't have pointers, so you're saving some memory and the code is a bit faster per array. So it demonstrates similar behavior. It might be simpler to implement. So if you're getting to implement, you might want to take it into mind. Okay, if you want to read more about skip list, I thought that Dannenberg and Lewis that you can buy right now for, I think, $1.72 in Amazon used is a fantastic book. I'm absolutely serious. Okay. And we will start hashing next class. Thanks, everybody.